The original 4x4 Squared is a crazy portal axle off-roading machine. I'll include a link to the Land Rover and Leahat's website in the description down below. They're providing us with this 4x4 Squared. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Bradley. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood is a twin-turbo 4-liter V8 that goes through a 7-speed automatic. It puts out 416 horsepower and then 450 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me out with that. At the top of the windshield, giant carbon fiber piece with the marker lights because this thing is so wide, needs them. And then you've got the off-road lights built up there too. This comes with a normal G-Wagon hood that has the tapered design, and then you've got the turn signal indicators on the front fenders. Circular lights, and I kind of like this look of G-Wagon light. And then you guys can see Mercedes-Benz emblem all blacked out. Same thing with the mesh here at the bottom. Altogether, when you see this thing in person, it's extremely wide and just crazy to look at. Tire wheel setup is 37 by 13.5 by 22. This one has the Baja Boss ATs. I don't know if this was from the factory with this originally, but the 22s definitely are. They have the 4x4 Squared logo on them. But you know, with the size of the calipers and the rotors, you could definitely fit smaller wheels. I don't know if you could go all the way down to an 18, but there's, yeah, quite a bit of room to downsize with this on the wheel. Now, while we're in this area, we have to look at the axle situation. So, solid axle front and rear, and this does have portals, so you can see the whole system is tucked up there very tightly. And if you look to the back of the G-Wagon, you can see everything's tucked up tightly, gives it a ton of ground clearance, and that's a big benefit of portals. Now, to accommodate for the large tires and the portals and everything, you've got these giant carbon fiber fender flares. And am I crazy? It looks like we've got 2 sets of shocks and springs. Yeah, look at the back too. Let me know if I'm stupid, but it looks like that, that's for sure. Anywho, V8 badge on the side, we've got the giant side step, and then you've got these side-mounted exhaust tips. You put everything together, and the side profile on this is pretty crazy. The interesting thing is it actually has a little bit of front rake where the front end kind of tips up a little bit higher than the back end. Now this has the older version of Mercedes key fobs, so it's the one you stick in the ignition. We used to have these at the Dodge dealership too, but anyways, you got your lock and unlock function. And then this leads us to the rear. So of course you got the swing gate, and look at this, you've got like Alcantara there, suede with the stitching. Outlet in the back, we've got this fancy kind of carpeting. You got a little storage container here in the rear too. But yeah, plenty of storage space in the rear. 4x4 Squared badge, and then you guys can see the little crash bar there at the bottom because the bumper's so high that it didn't meet regulation. The new one has the same thing actually. And that will pretty much cap things off for the rear. You notice that we don't have a spare tire. The newest one had a reinforced tire carrier and everything, so it was able to work with a spare, but I don't think this generation had that. Again, unless I'm missing something, which is very possible. Also, the marker lights at the very top, kind of a cool touch. But let's check out the interior. So you've got more of that like suede with the leather trim. You've got some fancy stitching there too. And then you'll note that continues onto the passenger seats. Of course, this generation of G-Wagon was pretty tight with the interior overall, but they at least gave the rear passengers some cup holders and some vents. This now leads us up front. You actually have normal mirrors. You'd think they'd be massive for the massive vehicle, but they do power fold in. You've got some carbon fiber trim with like the memory seat function, and then again more of that nice trim all over the door panel. 4x4 there on the seat, and it has the mix of the 2 trims just like the back seats. Getting in is definitely an ordeal. There's not actually a grab handle, so you just kind of put one leg up and grab the steering wheel a little bit and then kind of hoist yourself in. That's the best you can do. I guess there is a handle up top that you could also use to help out, but anyways, nice trim all around the steering wheel. Looks like you got Alcantara there on either side. That's definitely worn out a little bit. Kind of happens with that trim. That's why a lot of manufacturers don't use it on most of their cars. Anyways, paddle shifters there on the back. You've got a partially analog, partially digital cluster with a little screen in the center. I think this is like the perfect match of the 2 elements, and the tachometer and everything just looks really clean. Now this has a backup camera. Definitely needs it. Not the best resolution, but you know, it's better than nothing. And then the screen itself is not a touchscreen. It's all controlled with a little dial. I don't know if you remember, that used to be like the whole thing in the car industry. Definitely makes for reliability with the screen system, but yeah, not super user-friendly. But what is user-friendly is the diff lock setup. So yep, triple locked. It's a G-Wagon. So you got all the buttons there in the center, and then you got a bunch of physical buttons for random stuff. It looks like this had a phone or something built in with it. Not sure what that's about, or maybe it's for the CD player. Anyways, you do have your controls for the heated, ventilated seats. Kind of nice tactile feel on those. Climate controls below that with more physical buttons. There's lots of carbon fiber here. The shifter is so pathetically small for such a big vehicle, right? These are the controls for that center screen, and then you've got the center console, got some USB ports. Nice trim there on the top, of course. Same thing with the grab handle. It's got some carbon fiber. There's leather trim on the dash, and then this does actually still have a sunroof up top, and you got nice trim there. This is a 2017 with about 29,000 miles, and it's still going for $144,000. So it's lost some value, but yeah, these are probably always going to be pretty expensive. Let's drive it. We got a lot of muscle with this week's giveaway. The first car is a 1964 Corvette Resto Mod with a 500 horsepower small block V8, a 5-speed Tremec manual, and upgraded brakes to give you modern performance. The next is a new Z06 with all of the carbon fiber and the 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8 producing 670 horsepower. On top of that, you do get $60,000 in cash if you win this giveaway to help pay for the taxes. As always, use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus tickets on any donation, $25 or more. Let's set off in this crazy portal axle beast. And I will say, I'm going to give Mercedes some critiques with the G-Wagon in general, and I think the 4x4 Squared is a good vehicle to talk about those critiques, because Mercedes has a really cool vehicle, and they could, I mean, obviously G-Wagons sell well, but they could sell even better if they just made some slight changes to the whole vehicle. Well, not, I shouldn't say to the whole vehicle, but more like slight changes to what they offer with the vehicle. Now, I've actually only reviewed the newest 4x4 Squared, the 63 version. I've never reviewed the 550. And I will say, I'm actually pretty impressed with how this drives so far. Now, it's actually, I mean, for how tall this is, the body roll is not bad. It definitely has body roll. But it's not as bad as you would think, considering the size of the vehicle. I mean, it is quite massive. Yeah, it actually handles pretty well. That's one nice thing about portals is, unlike a regular lift that can sometimes decrease overall travel and especially down travel, with moving up the portal axles, you still get full travel. But you get tons of clearance. So it's really the best way to lift a vehicle, but it's obviously extremely expensive. I mean, portals on a G-Wagon alone are like $100,000. Because you're moving the whole system up, not just taller springs. Yeah, this thing drives so well. I'm shocked. Like, this is, and are the windows, like, it's pretty well insulated. Yeah, no, it just has regular windows. Like, I get a little bit of tire noise and everything, but it's not bad at all. I think I'm so tall, and the tires are, like, you've got so much suspension, you know, area between us and the tires that, like, you don't really hear them. I mean, you hear them a bit, but it's not bad at all. I mean, I just drove my Wrangler here, and I've got the newest version of the Wrangler that has, you know, the extra insulation with the thicker glass and everything, and this seems like it's just as insulated, if not more. Man, this thing would be fun to off-road, especially if you had proper tires on this. When I say proper tires, I'm talking about proper wheels and tires, so not the crazy oversized wheels that this has. Air down, you know, put a couple 18-inch, put some 18-inch wheels on this, air down. You know, it's not crazy quick. I don't even know if they re-geared this thing. It doesn't feel like it. It honestly feels like it's got stock G-Wagon gearing, which could be one downside. It's got a low range though, and it still has over 400 horsepower, so it'll be fine off-road. Yeah, this thing actually drives pretty darn well. I mean, you'd hope so for how much these are brand new. I mean, I can't remember how much this stickered for brand new, but I know the 63 that I reviewed was like $360,000 sticker price, and the dealerships were obviously marking them up like $100,000 on top of that. This is a cool car. This drives really well. It shows the benefits of portals. So here's my critique with Mercedes. Very few people in the off-road world take Mercedes seriously. And you could say, oh, it doesn't matter, Mercedes sells a bunch of G-Wagons. Yeah, they do. They sell a bunch of G-Wagons to rich people, but Mercedes could increase their customer base for the G-Wagon if they offered a real off-road package on the G-Wagon. Now, obviously, it comes with lockers. It has, you know, it's got like, it's got a crazy heavy-duty build. Like, it has the important stuff already done. All that they need to do, and they kind of have an off-road package now, but it's just not aggressive enough. All that they need to do is they need to have a G-Wagon from the factory with 33s. And then with the 4x4 Squared, 2 options, right? Land Rover did this with the Defender, with the new Octa. Offer one with big wheels for people that want big wheels, and offer one with small wheels and tons of sidewall. It's a very simple change, but I think it would make people take the G-Wagon more seriously in the off-road world. You know, some people buy older G-Wagons and you know, customize them and everything, but overall, like, most people are still looking at Wranglers, Broncos, and now Ineos, right? They've gotten a lot of hype behind them with their new Grenadier that's basically a G-Wagon with an inline 6, right? And so I don't think Mercedes maybe realizes that they're kind of starting to lose a little bit of, we'll use the Gen Z term, aura. They're losing aura with the G-Wagon. I mean, most people, like, I remember just a few years ago, it's like, oh, it's a G-Wagon. Now people are like, yeah, it's a G-Wagon. It's just an overpriced, Mercedes just asking a bunch of money, right? It doesn't have the same effect. But if Mercedes had, again, you have a G550 that's, or you can get a 63, 33-inch all-terrain tires, like good clearance, right? Because of those bigger tires, then people think that's more exciting. And then if you had the 4x4 Squared and had that option where you've got the smaller wheels and large tires with lots of sidewall, then I think people look at the G-Wagon and they go, man, Mercedes actually is making G-Wagons for off-road. Now, are people going to take them off-road? Probably not. That doesn't matter, though. Like, people are not going to take the Defender Octa off-road, right? But it looks the part. And the this literally, like, I'm just going to say it, this looks like one of those stupid bro builds. It really does. Like, it's got such good underpinnings with the portal axles and everything, but then you go to the wheels and you're like, why, Mercedes? Why 22-inch wheels? It looks so stupid. It's like, it's literally a factory bro build, but then it actually has good stuff too. So what do you guys think about the 4x4 Squared? I think it's a really cool car. I just think that Mercedes is behind when it comes to what people are looking for with these boxy off-roaders, and they can cater to both. They can cater to the mall crawlers that want the big wheels, they want the bro builds, and they can also cater to the real off-roaders. And I think Mercedes would be surprised that there's actually a lot of people that have a lot of money that want, like, great off-road capability, right? There's people that spend over $200,000 on Land Cruiser builds. Just something to consider.